Yo, what it do, boys? It's your boy Crash here in another video, and this video is gonna be very different. As you see in the title, this is a settings video. Believe it or not, I actually recorded this video an hour ago, and it didn't clip any of my voice, so I'm retaking this again. This is an in-depth settings video. This isn't an ordinary settings video where I'm just gonna tell you what to run, this and that. I'm actually gonna give you the full-on details of why I run what I run and why it's the best. So let's get into it. So for controller, we're gonna start off controller on our way down. So for controller, I'm running a button layout called stick and move. Me personally, again, it's a self-preference. I run with flip triggers. So again, L2 and R2, instead of me having to use L2 and R2 to aim and shoot, I personally run L1 and R2 to aim and shoot. So instead of aiming with L2, I'm aiming with L1. Instead of shooting with R2, I'm shooting with R1. Again, that's self-preference. Controller vibration, highly don't recommend this on. This will get you killed. It's not ideal, and this is more like a campaign type of a setting. Excuse me. Trigger effect. You honestly, I don't recommend you have this on for your controller's sake and for your aim sake. Highly don't recommend running this on because it gets you killed. It makes your brain think you have recoil more than the recoil you see. So you're gonna also be, messing yourself up because you're trying to figure out the recoil pattern of a gun and you feel it on your trigger, so it feels like it has a lot, so you're pulling more than you need to or you're not. So I highly recommend this off. And I also heard for console players like me that when you have the weapon fire threshold on, or again full haptics, it actually breaks your trigger if you're still shooting with L2 and R2 in general, if you're throwing a stun or a flashbang. I've heard a lot of documents that have come out that PS5 controllers have been breaking given to this cool setting that they have that just ends up breaking. For that reason, I'm running it off. For dead zones, this is very important. I personally run them at 1010 because since I do have a little stick drift, I leave it at 1010 because me personally, I don't have stick drift if it's at 1010. Most people do. So if I try to bump it down to 7, right, you're gonna see slight stick drift, if not any. But I just personally just run 1010 just to not have any. So for the left stick max, I personally run 75 because I've been running this since MW 2019 when I discovered this to run faster. But the left stick and right stick min, this does affect how fast your sensitivity feels. So for example, if you're running 1212, you're a movement TikToker, or in general you just love doing movement, a high sensitivity, if you lower this and you're in a high sensitivity, you're gonna probably lower down your sensitivity most likely because it makes your sensitivity faster and more responsive. So me personally, again, I run 1010 just to not have any stick drift. If I do have it on one of my controllers, but yes, I run left stick max 75. I don't mess with the right stick because my aiming stick. For L2 and R2 button dead zone, I highly recommend you running these on 0 because it will impact how fast you aim and shoot. So me personally, I run 0-0. For aiming, this is self-preference. Horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity is self-preference. Don't listen to Joe Woe, to Swag, run this, run that. No, you need to run your personally good sensitivity. If you love high sense, stick with high sense. But again, don't just overdo it and do 2020, 15-15 just because someone else does it. Do it because you obviously play good in it and you move good in it. It doesn't impact you. It just makes you better. Again, this is self-preference. If you're struggling with when you're aiming up, your horizontal feels good, for example, and your vertical feels too fast. It's the same, but it just feels too fast. Just lower it down by 1. You'll be chilling. If, for example, if your horizontal feels too fast than your vertical, then it's just best to just overall change your both sensitivities, because if you leave it like this, for example, it doesn't make sense. Because when you're the whole point, like most importantly, like in Rainbow and COD, you want to be able to turn faster instead of looking up. You're not having a lot of up and down gunfights like it's Black Ops 3. You're playing a boots on the ground type of game, so you don't want to run the same values, stick sensitivities. If not, your vertical lower. That's pretty much it. But ADS sensitivity multiplier, I don't mess with this because I try not to get too used to it, and I go to a new COD this doesn't exist anymore. Again, there's self preference. I have it on 1.0. It feels good for me. I want to skip the sensitivity multiplier. Don't mess with that. Vertical aim axis. Don't mess with that. Tactical stance sensitivity multiplier. Don't mess with that. I'm not gonna be playing tactical stance all the time. And if anything, I really don't. Aim response curve type. Again, this is controversial. People say standard is better. Dynamic's better. Pro players say dynamic. Other pro players says I like standard. It just feels good for me. So again, this is self-preference as well. Whatever makes your aim feel snappy and on target, stick with that aim response curve type. But highly do not recommend putting linear. Linear is like if you're trying to be a PC player on a controller, really bad to the point where you're doing all the work like a PC player does with no aim assist. So again, dynamic for me personally feels best, and since a lot of people do run dynamic and I've been running it for such a long time, it just makes more sense for me to stick to this. ADS sensitivity multipliers is a secret setting that has helped me improve my aim tremendously, and so I dropped it down to 80. I know people are saying, but it says focus. I get that, but for some reason this affects your overall aim, like your ADS sensitivity. So I tweaked it a little bit. Again, I was messing with my settings for a few weeks now, and this is what I found to be helping me with my aim. So again, this is personal preference. With me personally, this is a setting that helped me improve my aim with this game that has almost no aim assist. So I have it at 80. 80 sensitivity multiplier transition timing, and I have it on instant. You really don't want it on gradual or after zoom, because again, it will affect your muscle memory of how fast your gun aims, especially if you're gonna slow aiming down sights, fast aiming down sights. It will just impact you overall. But you want every action you make in this game instant, because this is really fast paced. Custom sensitivity per zoom, I don't mess with that. Target aim assist, I have it on of course. Aim assist type, I have it on Black Ops. Again, this is a very important setting where it gets, again, it's self-preference. You want to play default. If it feels good, stick with it. If you feel good with Black Ops is good. But as you noticed, I'm not talking about precision or focusing, because again, those settings were never really used, and it's pointless because again, it just helps you become more of a mouse and keyboard player, but really on a controller. Third person ADS correction type, I have it on assist. I don't mess with this, I just have it at that. Motion sensor behavior, please turn this off if you have it on. If you suddenly look to the left, to the right, without you touching the sticks, it's not your controller that's broken or the game, it's just a setting you have, which is called motion sensor aiming. So for example, if you're like me, I'm on console. If you put your finger over the D-pad when you're typing, it moves, right? It moves like a cursor. And that's pretty much how it's playing when you're playing the game. When you move your controller to the left, it turns to the left. When you move to the right, it moves to the right, of course. And that's what motion sensor behavior is. So highly recommend turning this off. And for now, we're going to gameplay now. Automatic tac sprint, highly recommend running automatic tac sprint. I can't urge this enough. You want to save your controller, save your sticks. Highly recommend this. But there is a setting, if you don't really want to play automatic tac sprint, there's a setting that can save your controller either way. Is tactical sprint behavior, single tap to run. So if you want a 6-9 run or tactical sprint, as I call it, if you run, it'll throw your gun up in the air. Of course, you run faster. But again, it's instead of you having to double press it to tactical sprint, all you have to do is just tap it. There you go. But I personally run both because there's some times where I'm trying to sneak and auto tac sprint doesn't activate, so I just activate it by just tapping it. This is another secret setting that's very important, the slide maintain sprint, because this is a new setting that just dropped and has helped me slide canceling tremendously. So please leave this on. It's self-explanatory. It's a slide maintain sprint. So basically, aka maintains your slide cancel. Grounded mantle again, self-preference. Sometimes it does get me kills, sometimes it doesn't because it makes me faster. So again, to all their own. Slide starts die behavior. If you're a movement guy like me, or you wanna be able to do people dirty like you did in 20 Modern Warfare 2. Well, realistically, Vanguard and Modern Warfare, because that's where slide cancel was alive. So highly recommend you running slide only if you want no latency to use sliding, because if you have it on top to slide, which is on default, the controller is trying to figure out if you're trying to slide cancel or if you're trying to dive or just slide. So that's why there's a delay, because the controller is just trying to see how you're gonna play, um, what you're going to be your next play when you're fighting that gunfight. So if you want no delay, you don't want the controller to be thinking or the game thinking what are you going to do next, you automatically have it on side only and it already knows what it is, what you're going to be doing. So plunging underwater default, I have it on trigger. Parachute auto deploy, again this is self preference, I have it on off. Sprinting door bash, I have it on. Great. It's great to have it on because, for example, if you're running away, you're plating on the map, Skid Row, you're going upstairs, you slam the door where there's a window, and you have to reload. Your gun is really, the guy's right behind you. You don't want to be having to open the door and then reload. You want to be able to reload and run through the door instead of having to click square twice to reload and open the door. So this helps you a lot with running quicker and saves your life as well. Ledge climb behavior, again this is self preference, I have it on movement based. Aim down sights, don't mess with that. Change zoom activation, don't mess with that. Focus behavior, leave that alone, it's obviously long. Equipment behavior, leave it on hold. Weapon mount activation, again self preference, don't mess with that. Weapon mount, exit delay, I have it on instant because sometimes I do want to mantle and get no recoil, less recoil than what gun already has, like in Warzone. Someone's far away and I want to hit every shot, and there's someone right behind me, slide canceling, pushing me crazy. I can just easily just turn around by just moving my right stick, and it'll get off where I'm mounted to turn around and deal with the threat. So I highly recommend this on instant, which is on default. Tactical stance activation. Again, this is another thing that's controversial because the ADS plus down button is on default, which I prefer. If you guys keep it like that, if you want to tax stance, and I know a lot of people are grinding. I was one of them. I finished grinding. Oh shoot! And it was a pretty, honestly, it was probably the easiest grind I've ever done. But to go back on topic, you can run it off or on. Again, this is like you gotta mess with it, see, because sometimes for some reason I turned it off and I noticed that my slide cancel was better. But again, I don't know. I just put it back on just because, and see what happens. So I'm just testing this setting out against the self preference. Try it off, see if it makes your slide cancel better, because obviously there is something where when you slide, it turns your gun sideways when you're aiming. I don't know if you guys noticed that. And in order to avoid that, if you do have it on or off and it still does it, which is another bug that's in the game that's annoying and frustrating, what you have to do to avoid the side aim, you have to slide, jump, and then aim. But you're not really jumping, you're just standing full straight up after you slide cancel, and then you can aim straight. It aims straight through the barrel, through the sight as it should, instead of it's aiming sideways if you're just sliding and aiming. For attack stance behavior, have it on toggle. Internet/reload, my bad. Interact/reload behavior, have it on prioritize interact, because I was just playing Warzone. If you're playing multiplayer, stick with tap to reload. If you're playing Warzone, prioritize interact. It's basically contextual tab from Modern Warfare 1 or Modern Warfare 2019. Armor plate behavior, I have it on auto apply all. I don't want to be holding the triangle while I'm playing Warzone to fully play while I still gotta reload, I still gotta reposition. All you gotta do is just hold triangle once or Y if you're on Xbox, and you're chilling because you don't have to keep holding your triangle while you're trying to do something else with your reload with your index finger and so forth. So I have that on apply all. ADS stick swap, don't mess with that. Backpack control, I have that on default. Directional buttons. Depleted ammo weapon switch gets me killed sometimes. So for example, if your gun's empty, you're in the middle of a gunfight, and your gun gets emptied, like there's no ammo, not even reserve ammo to reload it. It automatically switches to your secondary. Your secondary could be a sniper or a pistol, and it'll still get you killed because it's doing the animation without you realizing it when you're locked in, and it just gets you killed. So it's best to just leave it on off. Quick C4 detonation, I have it on default, 1 by 1. Mantle fire behavior, I have it on normal. Press. Vehicle camera on default. I don't mess with the vehicle behaviors nor the overlay besides the ping wheel delay. If you want to ping faster, you can have it on short. Just short, just ping. You tap it and boom, it pings it. Double tap, of course. Double tap danger ping. You could put this on short, but I think it's gonna mess up this. So you might as well have this on off and have it on short, or however you see fit. Have it on short and modern. Kill streak wheel behavior, I have it on hold. I tried toggle, but it doesn't let me call in the streak, so I just left it at that. Graphics. If you're on console, I highly recommend having on-demand texture streaming on if you want your game to look as good and gorgeous as possible. So you want to click scroll more. If you have slow internet or decent internet, I highly recommend you put in a download limit between 10 gigs or 1 gig, however you see fit. As you see, I've only used 1 gigabyte per day, even though I've been playing for hours on hours on end. But if you struggle with slow internet, then by all means put a daily limit. We'll put this back to 0. Um, uh, Isolated texture cache is basically like trash of it processing all the texture. I have it on auto. You can have it on small, medium, large. Just depends on how fast your internet again is. But those are my settings for that. Since I have good fast internet, I don't have to mess with that. Highly recommend, and I urge this very much, to turn off world motion blur and weapon motion blur, because you won't be able to see as clear as you would like if you're doing all this crazy movement and you can't see your target as you're trying to trick shot or you're trying to put your sights over. Film grain, highly recommend this at 0.00 because it's like a theater effect. There's no point in having that. You're trying to, focus up, play eights. You're playing S&D. You're playing competitive against your friends, wagers, or Skid Row Customs S&D or something like that. You don't want that. Depth of field. You obviously don't want more blur. Again, this goes hand in hand with the motion blur of the world and weapon. You want that off as well. A fidelity cast, again, this is highly important for console players. If your PS4 or PS5 doesn't look as crispy as you want it to, you want to make it look better, besides already making your monitor or TV look really crisp, then by all means increase your fidelity cast to 40 to 50 on PS5 and Xbox Series X. But if you have like an older Xbox, older PlayStation, like a PS4, exactly, I highly recommend cranking it up a lot so the game can look best and crispy and clear as much as possible, and making your gameplay look amazing. Eco mode, preset it on efficiency. I don't mess with that. Again, this is very important. 120 hertz. If you barely got a monitor that supports 120 hertz, if you turn this on, you will see a big difference in your sensitivity feel. So if you turn this on, or if you finally get the chance to have 120 hertz monitor, congratulate you. But you're gonna want to have to change your settings. If not, you're just goated, because when I first changed to 120 hertz, it made my sensitivity. I had to crank it down because it just makes everything snappier. So highly recommend you have this on, and you will not want to go back. Field of view, again, if you're playing multiplayer and Warzone and ranked, or competitive or wagers. Highly recommend when you're playing competitive or wagers, running at 105 to 1010. Any higher than this, you're gonna lose a lot more aim assist. I personally am running 120 because of Warzone and because yeah, honestly that's the real reason why. So I personally right now, since I've been playing Warzone, I'm running at 120. And if we click square to show more, you want your ADS field of view on affected, not unaffected or independent as they call it, because it's gonna, if you have it at independent, it's gonna default stick to 60 FOV. So if you're spamming your aim button, it's gonna give you like a brain fart because it's going to 120, 105 to 60, 105 to 60, or 120 to 60. It's just gonna, mess you up, especially if you keep pressing your aiming button back to back. Weapon field of view, I personally am running default just for now because the wide is kind of messed up. It looks like 200 FOV and it messes up my aim and stuff. So I personally am running default. For third person field of view, I run it at 90 just in case, if anything. It normally, I think it's at 80 or something like that. I'm running at max. Vehicle field of view, again, I have it on default. I don't mess with that. I'm never really a third person player anyway. First person player, so the camera movement is very important because normally the default setting is at 100, but when someone's throwing a nade or smacking you with their stock of the gun or hitting you or with a riot shield, it's gonna make your screen shake a lot. So if you want to keep your aim as solid as possible and not be dazed a lot, you want to drop it to 50%. I wish there was 0, but this is what we gotta deal with, 50%. Inverted flashbang, again, is self-preference. I tried the low light black effect, but it's not, it just honestly, again, it's just hard. It just made it hard to see for me personally. So I have that off. Third person ADS, you can leave it however you like. Spectator camera, I personally have game perspective because I want to see it through the player that I'm spectating's first person perspective instead of third. So I have that on game perspective. Brightness, again, self preference. I personally have it at 50. Safe area is very important. If you want to give yourself the best comms based off HUD details or HUD info, you want to shrink as much as possible. So you can condense your ammo, condense your map, your compass a little bit closer to the center of your screen. So you can look at everything at the same time instead of having to look at every corner to see how much ammo you got or where you're at on the map. Your teammates telling you to come over here by southeast. You gotta look all the way to the top of your screen to look at that, especially if it's a 70-inch TV. That's too much work. So me personally, I have it at 0. I have it at the closest possible, so I can get the most comms out of my screen and my help from the HUD. So for audio, again, this is very important. I personally run TV. I normally play on Asteroid 50s. Right now I'm using a cheap headset. But again, if you have a cheap headset, I highly recommend you running headphones bass boost, just to increase the footsteps. But if you're running like a high-end, mid-end headset, like for example, HyperCloud 3 or HyperCloud 2 or Asteroid 50s, the Artix Pro wireless, then by all means run TV because as it says there, that's the tightest dynamic range and EQ in the game. If you run headphones and bass boost, you're not really getting the tightest dynamic range. And this has helped me a lot with footsteps, so I highly recommend running TV. Master volume, have it at 100. You need to be able to hear your footsteps as max volume as possible. So I highly recommend that 100. Gameplay music, I have it at 0. I don't want no music messing me up unless I put it like some music I have on Spotify. Dialect volume, I have it at 30. I don't want to hear Captain Price telling me what's coming in while I'm trying to lock in for the last kill for a nuke. Effects volume, always keep this at 100, please, because you will lose volume for footsteps. So I highly recommend this at max. Voice chat, a lot of people are ear raping me Even though I got a voice chat, game chat toggle on my headphones, my Astro A50s, so I personally run it as low as possible, and this is the perfect sweet spot for me, 20. Cinematic music again, I don't like music while I'm focusing. I have it at 0. War tracks volume at 0. Again, that has to do with music. Leave your voice chat on. Your game channel, again, self preference. You want to just hear your friends, put it on party only. Or if you want to just hear the party and your friends, then just you can just put it party only. You want to just listen to your friends and not everyone else they have that you're not friends with, have it at friends only, etc. I just have it on all lobby. I want to hear people talk trash after I destroy them in the game. Last words voice chat, again, that goes again with what I said. I want to hear people talk trash when I destroy them. Proximity chat, again, that also goes with that. Open mic, I have it on default. Mute yourself when connected to channel, I have it on off. Microphone level, I don't want to be one of those people that ear rapes if no one has those settings that I just provided for audio. So I personally crank it down so that people, I don't ear rape them. I also test it too to test how loud I am. For example, this. I'm still loud, but I'm not ear raping as usual, as other people are because they don't fix the settings. Subtitles, I have them off. I don't need them, me personally. That's it for audio, graphics, and controller. Last but not least, the interface. Again, I want to apologize for a long video. I just want to really help you guys become the best player you could on Call of Duty, whether you're a casual, a professional, or a tryhard like me. Um, so you're gonna want to ignore the subtitles. I don't have subtitles. None of this. If you have subtitles, you can mess with this. I personally don't, so I'm ignoring that. Language selection, again, if you're Mexican with Spanish, Portuguese, French, there you go. But I personally run English, of course. Color customization, this is very important to make your game even look better. You want to do what those YouTubers do that make their stuff pink, people pink, their ABC pink or hardpoint, whatever. You can change it to whatever color you like. I don't want to mess with that because I don't want to mess myself up. You see, there's even in depth with each squad member. But the main setting I want to show you guys is the color filter. You want to get your game to look as saturated, as colorful as possible. Change your color filter to filter 2. Filter 2, well, I mean 1, as you see, it changed my screen drastically. It looks more dull and like worn out. Filter 2 makes it look more enhanced, vibrant, bright. As to where if I have it off, it just looks dull. But if I have it on filter 2, it looks more bright. So again, run that on filter 2. Color filter, you want it on both. You want it to affect your interface and world to look nice. I have them, both of them on max intensity. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Oh shoot, my bad. I forgot one more thing. The HUD. You want to be able to see more of your map on the top left of your corner of your screen. Change this from circle to square. It just aesthetically looks better since your screen is a box anyway, and it also gives you more info. Mini map rotation, I have it on personal preference. For me, it confuses me if I have it on off, where it just shows my character turning instead of the map. Horizontal compass, again, self preference. Crosshair, I have it on static because you can add a crosshair dot actually. So what's cool is that when you add a crosshair dot, you can have a dot on the center of your screen, or what this is really a center dot, and you can make it big, small, largest, default, whatever. But I personally don't like that. I just prefer running static. So that's it for the crosshairs. Hit marker visuals, I have these all on default. In-game texture, I have it on. Telemetry, which shows your ping, your frames if you're on PC, your packet loss, your time of day. Me personally, I have that off. Excuse me. And that's pretty much it. For the menu, I have it on default. And that's pretty much all. If you are new to the game, you want gameplay tips, by all means turn this on. You want tool tips, turn that on. I don't. I've been playing COD for so many years. And that's pretty much it. All this is self-preference as well. And yeah. that's pretty much it, guys, for the settings video of today. I'm so sorry again for making this a long video, but I just really want to hook you guys up and give you guys the best settings. Hope you guys enjoy, slay out in pubs and your 8s, and just go crazy, and send me those clips of you going crazy like Joe. May you guys enjoy, and peace out.